Hey, my name's Dina Wolf, and we are going to be talking about the Zyto Biocommunication Food Survey. So what we do is we have you put your hand on this tool. It's called a hand cradle. And what it does is it reads the galvanic skin response in the body. So basically, you're a bunch of electromagnetic energy. That energy gets read and recorded into the software, and we can see things like what foods your body does well with, what foods your body doesn't do well with. So it divides them up into a list of positive and negative, and it's scaled too. So you can tell exactly just how negative it is for you or just how positive it is for you. So it makes it very unique and specific to your personal chemistry. So we're not all alike. We cannot eat the same diet. Some of us thrive on certain foods, and some of us are told that certain foods are good for us and they're not. So it really breaks it down on an individual basis. So I've had really good results with this tool for weight management, also for focus issues, immune support, anything that really has to do with health and wellness for the long term. Fatigue, if someone's fighting a lot of fatigue, it's wonderful for that. So I'm going to kind of go through and show you what it looks like. So stay tuned, and I'm going to flip my screen around.
Okay, so now that you can see my screen, what we're looking at is an advanced food survey. So instructions for use on this survey. This is actually a bio survey record for your galvanic skin response. This is what the results will look like to virtual items that represent a particular food. Okay, so your response to each food virtual item is scored with a positive or negative number, and your most extreme responses will be shown on this report. So even though it is not a food allergy test, you may wish to avoid the virtual items with a negative response and include them in your diet when they have a positive response. Okay, so let's take a look at the negative list first. Okay, so this is a kind of a summary of what we're going to go over. So the first page will be a summary of all the different negative foods that came up in your scan. So anything that's negative 10 or higher tends to be something that we want to eliminate. So blackberries of negative 335, this definitely should be something that this person should stay away from, okay? And then you see blueberries, 209. Now notice as you get to the bottom, the numbers get smaller, okay? So it's represented as highest to lowest as far as negative. So oregano is a spice that we would really not want to eat, so sprinkled in the food. However, we do have essential oils of oregano, and those are okay to use because there's no proteins in them. So we see nectarines, brandy, liquor, so it does break down the alcohol for you. Hazelnut, okay, so this is just kind of an summary overview of what we're going to be looking at. So as you can see here, it gives us the additives that are negative for our body. So this is going to be anything that food companies will add to packaged or processed foods. This is not going to be something you would find in a green apple, a yellow apple, or anything of that nature. Okay, these are all chemical created additives. So green, number 3. Now, I always get the question of, well, what is it going to do to me? How will I know? Things like additives cause neurological dysfunction and neurochemical changes in the brain. So sometimes we see trouble focusing, issues with hormones, stress level becoming higher. We'll also see sometimes headaches and migraines related to food additives as well, especially like MSG, and also like nitrates and nitrites, which are high on the negative list as well. Acetone peroxide, blue number 2, yellow number 5. So definitely no M&Ms. And really be careful of anything that does have a package label on it. Be sure to read and make sure that these are eliminated. And this will help to further one's ability for better mood, better focus, better hormones, things of that nature. Okay, so then we jump down to beans and legumes. So it tells us soybeans are negative and navy beans are negative. Black beans are in the positive range, and black-eyed peas are in the positive range. So notice how it gives negative and then it gives positive range. Okay, anything that you don't see on the list, like a kidney bean, that's going to be a neutral food. So that is fair game. It doesn't have sway either way in the body. It doesn't cause a negative response. It doesn't cause a positive response. So those are what we considered as neutrals. Then we see our beverage list. So it goes through different liquors. For kids that are 18 and under, we do not include the liquor on there. So it's for 18 and over. Should be 21 and over, but in some areas we do see it with the 18 and under. Okay, so it'll even tell you what beverages are positive. So for this person, green tea and coffee are fine. Also chocolate's okay, red wine's okay. And then we get down to the dairy. So there's two types of protein in dairy. One is the milk casein and the other one is the whey. So for this person, it looks like they do okay with the whey, but they don't do very well with the casein. So I would definitely switch them to a goat milk, although they don't do too well with the goat cheese either. But because goat milk is not showing up on the list, it would be a neutral. So each time we process the dairy, okay, so we notice that we have it in different forms here, the protein changes. And how that protein interacts with our body changes as well. So you'll see that so you'll think, okay, why is skim milk okay and not 1%? It is because of the way that it's processed and how your body breaks it down with that fat content, okay? So skim milk is not going to have as much fat. 1% is going to have a little bit more fat, okay? So without the fat is better for this person. Sometimes with the fat, is necessary for them to break down the dairy, okay? So it all depends on one's unique chemistry, all right? Then we go into fats and oils, and so you can see what oils and fats to stay away from. Now we're told olive oil is good, but for this person, it's not the best choice. But notice this person doesn't have any fats or oils in positive range, okay? It's empty, this area here. So that's where we'd want to sit with the neutrals, so like coconut oil, almond oil, grapeseed oil, anything that you don't see on this list is going to be a neutral. Okay, so they're better off with those choices. And then we see the seafood and fish. So mahi-mahi, tuna, tilapia, catfish, crab meat, and halibut are negative, but shrimp, whitefish, scallops, and codfish are positive. And then we get down to the fruit section, where we saw those blackberries at the top, right? And so we have all the different fruits that are negative for this person, but then we see what fruits are positive: oranges, prunes, plums, pears, and apricots. We look at the grains. So here's where we'd find gluten if the person was a negative reaction to gluten or intolerant in any possible way. Sometimes it doesn't have to do with the digestive, but it does have to do with the neurologic, so, and vice versa. So whichever way it affects the body, if it affects it negatively, it'll come up in this area. So rice milk is a negative, brown rice is a negative, popcorn, wheat bran, and then in the positive we have buckwheat, quinoa, and semolia. Okay, so wonderful to know which grains are best for your unique chemistry, which is really nice. This is such an awesome tool, especially if you're trying to manage your weight or really help with mood or neurologic function. We don't realize how much foods affect us and affect our chemistry and our neurochemistry especially. So I did have someone that was eating, bacon and eggs each morning, thinking they were doing themselves a favor by staying away from the carbohydrates because they were diabetic, and we noticed that bacon came up negative on their scan. And they couldn't figure out why their joints were achy and they weren't feeling well. Well, remember, this person didn't do well with nitrates and nitrites either. And so when we removed the bacon from their diet, the pain and inflammation in their body went down significantly. So they weren't battling those nitrates, and bacon. Chicken dark meat is a negative, but then in the positive we see beef, and we're told beef's not good for you, right? Well, for this person, beef is the top choice of meat. Okay, now organic grass-fed is going to be ideal. All right, turkey, white meat without the fillers, pork, veal, white meat, chicken, dark meat, turkey. And then we have miscellaneous negative food items, so like mayonnaise, these would be your condiments and stuff. Soy sauce does contain gluten. In the positive, we see the baking soda. And then we see nuts and seeds. And here's where we go through and see the peanuts. So even if somebody is just a slightly like a 0.01 on the peanuts, we eliminate peanuts because they tend to be highly reactive. A lot of nuts can be, so definitely follow that nut list. And notice that this person doesn't have any nuts and seeds in range. Then we see spices, oregano, spearmint, ginger, salt, curry, cilantro. So in oil forms, these are fine, but not in the actual dried spice form. And then we see spices and seeds in range, in positive range, cinnamon, basil, and cumin. And then we go into artificial sweeteners and sugars. High fructose corn syrup is a negative. Go figure. It's not good for anybody. Aspartame K is going to be like equal packets or anything to do with artificial, like aspartame, any kind of like chewing gum, that kind of stuff. And most people don't realize that these things lurk in our foods, but they really do change the brain chemistry tremendously. And they make our joints ache. It's a toxin that stays in our body for long periods of time, so then it does affect the liver. So be very careful and read your labels to make sure that you're getting only natural. Now, stevia usually is the best choice, but notice this person doesn't do very well with stevia either. Because it is more natural, I would say that that's probably the best route on this page for this person, unless they can find things made with beet sugar or just regular like fruit sugar. And then we have in the positive maltose, dextrose, corn syrup, and molasses. And then lastly, we have our veggies. So which veggies are best for them? That's going to be the winter squash, lettuce leaf, yams, cucumbers, carrots, red potato, and artichoke and beet. And then they're going to want to stay away from these veggies. Now we're told, oh, spinach is so good for you. Well, for this person, it's not so great. There might be something chemically that just doesn't break down in their system or has some sort of negative effect. Maybe they absorb too much iron from it. It just really depends. And if you're heavy metal, leaning towards like the abundance of too much heavy metals in the body, adding too much green leafy vegetables is going to add to that iron content, and it's going to bombard the system. So it make it too hard for the body to get rid of. And so, it could be anything. But this is an awesome tool to be able to determine, what exactly is going on and what foods we can eat to help better our health. Okay, so let's look at the positives. And what I did is I put a whole list of positive foods together. So what I like to do is send it to you in this form. So it has the same things, but it just shows up everything that has positive, which on the other one, it didn't actually show the gluten as a positive thing. But what I like to do is highlight the things that you like, and then it makes it much easier to go shopping. So let's say, oh, I love salmon, I love pinto beans, I love tomatoes, I love feta cheese. Okay, great. Let's make a salmon salad, throw some pinto or red kidney beans in there. Let me figure out what lettuce. Oh, iceberg lettuce works for me. So it makes it much easier for you to plan meals when you know exactly what foods are best for you. So this one does good with yellow corn as well. Romaine lettuce. So because iceberg lettuce doesn't really have a lot of nutrients, romaine lettuce would be a better choice. I could put together, yams with the scallops and winter squash. So the possibilities are endless. Red potato, this person loves red potatoes. So it's a great way to incorporate that in there. And then it breaks it down for you. So it puts it in the summary, and then it breaks it down for you by beans, beverages, dairy, fats, seafood, fruits and grains, meats, poultry, miscellaneous items, so something like your condiments, nuts and seeds, spices and seasonings, sugars, sweeteners, vegetables. Okay, so it makes it much easier to go shopping and put together meal plans for you. Now, we also do offer in our planning a 7-day meal plan that we put together based on your scan. Now, if that's something that you are interested in, please let us know. Call for pricing. It does fluctuate, and we do have some deals very frequently, so it's a great way to take all this knowledge and put it into a meal plan for you. Now, this also stays good for 3 to 6 months. If you are doing a cleanse, you'll notice that you'll be able to tolerate more foods when you're completed with your cleanse. Okay, and so I do recommend having one of these done between the 3 to 6 month period after you start feeling better, eliminating some of these foods that you don't do well with. Okay, we do suggest start with the biggest things first. So in the event that someone is intolerant to gluten, dairy, soy, corn, peanuts, or eggs, or artificial sweeteners, those are the top 7 that we get rid of first. And once they get those under control, then we start eliminating some of the other items that are negative. So sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming. So sometimes it's much easier just to take the positive list and go off the positive list and just start eating off of that list. That way it doesn't make you feel so deprived by looking at the negative list and trying to eliminate everything on that. Okay. If you do want to go that route and eliminate, then what we do is we say eliminate 2 of the big things first. So that would be any of those top 7. And then each week eliminate 2 more items. And then it makes it much less overwhelming. So I hope this helps you. If you have any questions at all, please contact us. I'll put my link underneath so that you can get a hold of us regarding the foods. And I look forward to hearing from you and facilitating your wellness journey. However it is that you would like to get started and start feeling better, less discomfort, more focus, more energy, weight management, just overall feeling much, much better. I look forward to it.